is Return to Love. My name is Lisa. Welcome back to my channel. On this channel, we talk about faith-based content, love, self-love, self-care, and just a whole journey of health and, returning back to that state of loving oneself and the people around us, our body and our soul and our spirit. So if you're new to this channel, please hit that subscribe button and share this content with friends and family who you think that can benefit from it. So today I want to continue the story about my birth experience or my pregnancy experience. In my last video, I kind of gave a rough idea of what my pregnancy was like, and so I didn't get into many details. But today I kind of want to continue the story and give an overall view of how it all unfolded and how it all just kind of turned out. So during my pregnancy, I was just going through it, and I was eating excessively because I was really hungry. Now, guys, trust me when I say I had no appetite. I didn't have cravings. I really didn't have pregnancy cravings like that. I think once or twice I said I really wanted something, but that was it. I didn't have general pregnancy cravings. I did eat a lot of sour things, as I mentioned in my previous video, but that was just to help the nausea, to cope with the nausea. It helped me a lot. I see very sour cherries and lime and stuff like that. So but I didn't have general pregnancy cravings. I had a lot of food aversions, and it was really affecting me. Something major during my pregnancy was heartburn. I had heartburn. It was like lava was being thrown down my throat and here, just like it was burning up. So imagine being really hungry all the time. It was excessive. It was way too much. I was really too hungry. I spoke to my gynecologist about it. He was like, "Oh, don't worry about it." Yeah, but I was really hungry. I was eating excessively and I was vomiting and I had a lot of heartburn and I still had the cramps. I was still dizzy. I was still having a lot of back pain and other things, and that was kind of throughout my entire pregnancy. So after a while, I developed gestational diabetes. The diabetes you get during pregnancy that you can get, because not everybody gets it, of course. Lucky you. But the type of diabetes you can get during pregnancy. And I was very overweight. So nearing the end of my pregnancy, I started to get hospitalized every now and then. Sorry. Because my baby she wasn't having the amount of movement she's supposed to be having. So she didn't have the amount of movement that she was supposed to be having. I remember the first time I really noticed that she wasn't moving around as much as she used to. She hadn't moved for 24 hours. And I was just there contemplating if I should tell anyone. It's not like I was trying to keep it a secret or anything, but, you kind of have this thing sometimes where you're like, don't be dramatic, just wait it out, just check it out. Maybe it's nothing, just check it out, wait it out. And then I started to remember how they said, don't try to be a hero. If something is wrong, say something. So that's what I did. I eventually called my sister and I said, "Hey, I was at my sister's house." So I told her, I haven't felt the baby move since yesterday. It's almost 24 hours. She was like, "Okay, let's call the doctor." She called the doctor. The doctor said, 24 hours? You should have been in here by now. So we rushed to the hospital and I got admitted. Okay, they checked me out. I had to go under the machine for, a couple of times a day to just continue checking if the baby was moving and if the baby was alive. Because sometimes for a prolonged period of time, I wasn't feeling any movement, but she was still alive. Eventually that continued. I got dehospitalized, and then I got hospitalized again, and then I got dehospitalized, and I got hospitalized again. The last time I got hospitalized, my blood sugar levels were really high, and so was my blood pressure. So at that point, the doctor said, you can't go back home. You have to stay in a hospital until delivery, but you won't be able to deliver full term because it's just not possible in your situation right now. You're having a lot of complications and issues. So the furthest you can make it is 36 weeks. By 36 weeks, we have to perform a C-section. Now, he was very clear in explaining that I might not make it to the 36-week mark because they might have to, you know, help me out earlier than that because they wanted to ensure that the baby remained alive. And he said my blood sugar levels were so high that it was kind of pressing the baby. It was like killing the baby. So it was a miracle to him that she was still alive. It was a miracle to him that she was still alive. And he was really stressing to me that they would have to be checking me every day. I might have started to take insulin shots, and I would have to really change my diet and everything, and that it might be necessary to perform the C-section before the 36 week mark. So I yeah. So at that point, I was thinking, whew, okay, this is getting real. He was saying, he started telling me, you both are in danger. Your life is in danger. Her life is in danger. You both are not doing very well. So we need to, move quickly. But he was explaining to me that because my blood sugar levels were this high, he didn't know how long the baby hadn't gone through her necessary progresses. I don't know if I'm explaining this correctly. Disclaimer, I'm not a doctor, I'm just sharing my experience with you guys. But he was saying that the development that she was supposed to be having in my stomach, he wasn't sure if she had developed the way she was supposed to up until this point, since now they realized my blood sugar levels were this high. And because it had suddenly spiked, because all my previous appointments I was obese and so, but I wasn't, my blood sugar was normal. It was okay. So he said that's why he was trying to wait until 36 weeks to give her a chance to develop a bit more in case she had already missed the opportunity to properly develop. But he was also clear in explaining that just because of the risk, we might still have to go ahead and do it earlier if necessary. So that was kind of it. And I had to go in the hospital. I went in the hospital. I was really sad. But at that point, I was already started to gig and then become a bit numb. I didn't really realize it at that point, but now, thinking about it, talking about it, I realized at that point I was already starting to become a bit numb with the whole situation. I wasn't that scared. I wasn't that, what's going to happen? I did pray. I really prayed. I told God, I'm going to give you this child. I give you back this child. This is your child. Do what you need to do. But if you give me this child, I promise I will do everything to raise her in a godly way. So I made that commitment and I said, God, if you save her, if you make her come out alive, I'll do my best to give you back a child that you can be pleasing. So I made that commitment to God and I told him how I would try to raise her and such. So I did do that. But now thinking back to it, I guess around that period, I was already very numb. I wasn't very panicky or really, I didn't even look up, what the complications were for C-section. I'd never had a C-section. I never had a normal birth. I didn't even check what really would be required of me. I was already numb from that period in the hospital up until I gave birth. I was really numb. So from that, I rejected I refused to get the insulin shots, and I decided to just really change my diet and to stick to healthy foods and restrict what I eat in order to get my blood sugar levels down. And I was praying and my family was praying. Shout out to my family. They really prayed a lot for me during this process, and I'm sure that was really God who did every miracle that happened during my pregnancy. So from this point on, I had to get checked every single day, every morning, 6 a.m. The doctor, my gynecologist, and the doctor who was responsible for checking my blood sugar and stuff like that to decide whether or not I needed the insulin shots. Those two would meet me every morning at the hospital bed. Like, it's 6 a.m. You need to make a decision. Are we having the C-section today? And I was getting checked for my blood sugar like 4, 5, 6 times a day. They were checking my blood. They were checking my blood sugar. They were they would wake me up at night like 3 a.m. Check my blood sugar, check my blood pressure, and I would be under the machine all the time. How many times did the baby kick? How much movement are we seeing? So eventually they said, you know what? We need to set a date because I don't think we'll make it to the 36 mark. We need to, do the C-section earlier. So they set a date for Monday the 19th. Yeah, Monday the 19th of August, and they were like, okay, we need to, do the C-section. And so I had already called my mom and told her, hey, they're doing the C-section next week, la la la. My mom was on the next flight down, and she came the Friday evening, the 16th. Yeah, the 16th of August. I still remember Friday the 16th, I wasn't feeling well. I started to get cramps. I was having mild contractions for a couple of days already. And I remember that evening telling my husband that I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't do it anymore, and that if the doctor came Saturday morning, the 17th, that I would ask to perform the C-section that day. Since they were giving me the option to just choose, I would do it. I couldn't wait until Monday. I was having cramps. I was having pain. I was having, all kinds of stuff going on. So I said, I can't do it anymore. Can you come to the hospital tomorrow morning? And then I'll ask the doctor to do the C-section when you get here. So he said, okay. Little did I know. Little Miss Tang was already on her way. She couldn't wait any longer either. And she was just already wreaking havoc. So around 2:30 a.m., I couldn't take the pain anymore. I went into labor and delivery, knocking like, y'all, admit me to labor and delivery, because I was just on a general ward. I was like, admit me to labor and delivery. I think it's happening. So the nurse was so nonchalant. She was like, no, I don't think it's happening right now. You're not even due yet. La, 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 la. So she took me to... She said, okay, well, just come in, just sleep here for tonight, and then the doctor will see you in the morning. So that's what happened. And the moment I sat down on the hospital bed, my water broke. So my water broke and everything just went fast forward from then. And the next day I had my C-section. Well, yeah, the next morning I had my C-section. Well, let me tell you, I hadn't even expected the C-section to go the way it went. If you guys want a separate video on my experience having a C-section, I'll do a video on that. Just let me know in the comment section down below if you guys are interested in that kind of content. But it was just not what I had expected. I was just traumatized. It was not what I had expected. So anyway, I do remember that since she was a preemie, and since they weren't sure how she had been doing at this point in my womb, they had told me that she had to be admitted to the NICU so they could check if her lungs were functioning properly and all of that. So after they took her out, they just showed her to me and they were like, this is your daughter. And then, did you see her? I confirmed. I said, yes, I saw her. And then they rushed her to the NICU to have her checked out because the doctors had suspected that she would most likely come out handicapped or dead. They really hadn't expected her to come out alive and okay. So they rushed her to the NICU. And I got stitched up and I had to go to my room. All of that was also an experience because I started to bleed again and whatever. But anyway, I still remember that when I went to back to my room, I fell asleep. And I don't remember much after that, to be honest. I don't remember how the rest of that day went. I really don't remember. All I remember thinking back now is that I never asked about my baby. I never asked about my baby. I remember my husband coming to visit me the next day because, where I'm located, it wasn't a possibility at that point in time for him to stay the night. So he had to leave and come back. So when he came back the next day, I remember him saying, "You didn't even ask me for a picture of her." I was like, "Oh, okay. Can I see a picture?" I was like, I was so out of it. I didn't even realize at that point that I wasn't interested. I didn't even realize that I hadn't asked, that I didn't know, that I wasn't even sure what she was eating. They hadn't brought her to me because she was in a NICU. And when you have a C-section, after you get stitched up, you need to be able to walk on your own, to be able to be given the liberty to move around. And the hospital I was in, the NICU, was in a completely different building, a different part, a whole different part of the hospital than where I was situated. Yeah, crazy. So I would have to show them that I could walk at least from my room to a good distance in order for them to let me go. Even though I would go in a wheelchair, they still wanted to see that I had some mobility level. The first day, I really didn't. I didn't even get off of that bed the first day. The second day, I think I finally found the willpower. I found the willpower and I got out of the bed. And then my husband took me in a wheelchair to see her. But I don't remember much. You know that thing they say when you after you give birth, there's this thing that just happens, this switch that happens where suddenly it's a love you've never felt, and I did not experience any of that. I was so dead inside. Yeah. So I had to change locations because the sun was just so bright in the car and I didn't have privacy inside right now. So I can't go inside. So anyway, um yeah, so at that point, I didn't realize that there was something wrong, that it was an issue with the fact that I hadn't really made any inquiries. I wasn't really asking what is she eating because I wasn't pumping. They weren't getting any milk from me. Nothing. I wasn't asking any questions. So when he said that, I was like, okay, how is she doing and stuff. I was just inquiring. But I didn't feel any connection. I didn't feel like I had a baby. Like, oh, I have a baby. I have a baby. I'm a mom now. No, that's really didn't happen. It really didn't happen. I was dead. I was like, I felt nothing. I was really numb. I felt nothing. I didn't feel hatred. I know a lot of women who go through postpartum depression. They talk about the ill feelings they have towards the baby. You know, at that point, I wasn't feeling that. I'll talk in a different video about how the progression of my postpartum depression did bring about a lot of negativity and a lot of negative emotions. But at that point, I wasn't feeling like angry or hateful or anything. I was really numb and I wasn't excited. I wasn't interested. I wasn't overwhelmed with love and joy that I brought about this little human. I was just tired. Yeah. I just felt tired. I just felt like I'm tired. Leave me alone. I want to sleep. I want to get out of here. I want to just be done being pregnant. I just want to be done with all of this nonsense. I just felt like it had been going on for so long and I felt so overwhelmed and tired. But yeah, so I guess if you have a family member who just gave birth and they seem very disinterested or they seem not joyful and happy or exuberant after this momentous occasion, you should really talk to them about it. Talk to somebody who can talk to them, talk to somebody who can help them, and find ways to help them because that's definitely a sign that something might be off. But we'll talk again, guys. I have so much to tell you guys. It's been a journey. My daughter is turning 3 this year, and it's been a journey. We're not yet where we're supposed to be. We're not yet totally recovered, but we're really getting better. And part of the reason that I am doing this is because I want to be better. I want to be better for her, for myself, for my husband, for all the people who have suffered with me through this depression and through this journey. And I know there are other moms out there who are unheard. I couldn't believe how many people I was starting to meet after who were going through postpartum depression and had nobody to talk to and were very misunderstood. And I just want to put these videos out so relatives and spouses and boyfriends and immediate family and friends could know that this is really real. There are a lot of women who go through this, and that there are things you can do to help. So in my next videos, I'll be talking a little bit more about my journey. I'll be talking about ways you can help somebody who's going through this, and all the things I'm doing now, and maybe you'll get to meet my mini me. Until then, I hope you guys stay good, stay alive, and try to thrive. Return to love, guys. Bye.